Admiral Jack Miller stood by the large window of his spaceship. He watched the colors in space dance before his eyes. Purple and red clouds stretched across the darkness. Stars sparkled like tiny diamonds scattered across black silk. He had seen this view 1,000 times, but it never got old. Jack was 60 years old now. His hair had turned gray. Lines marked his face like a map of all the years he had spent in space. For 30 years, he had worked as humanity's voice in the Galactic Council. He talked to aliens from hundreds of different worlds. He solved problems. He stopped fights before they became wars. He made deals that kept everyone happy. Most humans had given up on talking. They wanted to fight instead. Earth had suffered terrible losses in the colony wars. Millions of people died when alien pirates attacked the outer settlements. After that, most humans wanted revenge. They wanted to build bigger guns and stronger ships. They wanted to show the galaxy that Earth would not be pushed around anymore. But Jack still believed in words. He still believed that talking was better than shooting. He believed that most problems could be solved if people just tried to understand each other. This made him different. This made him special. This also made him the last of his kind. The door behind him opened with a soft sound. Commander Kate Davis walked into the room. Her boots clicked on the metal floor. She was young, only 30 years old, but she carried herself like a soldier who had seen too much death. Her face was serious. Her eyes were tired. "Admiral, the Creathians want to talk to you again," Kate said. Her voice showed she was not happy about this. Jack turned away from the window. He smiled, but it was a tired smile. "Let me guess. They want to talk about the mining rights again?" "Yes, sir," Kate nodded. "Sir, you have already given them 6 more chances. The people back on Earth think you are being too soft with them. They think you care more about aliens than about humans." Jack walked to his desk and sat down. He looked at Kate carefully. "The people on Earth are not here. They do not see what I see every day. The Creathians are not our enemies, Kate. They are desperate people. Their home planet is dying. The air is becoming poison. Their water is running out. Those mining rights might be the only thing that can save their entire species." Kate's face softened a little. She respected Jack. She had worked under his command for 5 years. She knew he was a good man, but she also saw how the galaxy was changing. The old ways were dying. Peace was becoming harder to keep. More and more species were choosing violence over conversation. "I will tell them you will meet them at 2 o'clock, Kate said finally. "Thank you, Kate," Jack said. After Kate left, Jack returned to the window. He stared at the endless space outside. Somewhere far away, Earth's military was gathering. New ships were being built. New weapons were being tested. The leaders back home did not trust the Galactic Council anymore. They did not believe in peace. They wanted Earth to stand alone, strong and ready to fight anyone who threatened them. Jack knew what they were waiting for. They were waiting for him to fail. They were waiting for proof that talking did not work. Then they would have their excuse to leave the council. Then they would have their reason to start a war. He picked up a picture from his desk. It showed him as a young man standing with other officers at the Earth Defense Academy. They all looked so young, so hopeful, so sure they could make the galaxy a better place. Most of them were dead now. Some died in battles. Some died of old age. Some just gave up and went home. Only Jack remained. Only Jack still believed. His computer made a sound. A message appeared on the screen. It was from Admiral Ryan Foster, his old friend from the Academy. They had joined the military together. They had shared dreams of exploring space and meeting new species. But while Jack chose diplomacy, Ryan chose war. Now Ryan commanded Earth's entire defense fleet. The message was short. "Jack, come home. You have done enough. Let someone else carry this burden." "Ryan." Jack deleted the message without replying. He had received similar messages before. Ryan meant well. He was worried about his old friend. But Jack could not leave, not yet. Not while there was still hope. He looked at his schedule for the day. After meeting the Creathians, he had 3 other appointments. The Vexlon Empire wanted help with a trade dispute. The Harmony Collective needed someone to mediate their border conflict. The independent stations were asking for protection from pirates. Every day brought new problems. Every day brought new chances for things to go wrong. But every day also brought new chances to make things better. That was why Jack stayed. That was why he refused to give up. Kate returned exactly at 2 o'clock. "The Creathians are here, sir. They are waiting in the conference room." Jack stood up and straightened his uniform. "How do they look?" Kate paused before answering. Scared, sir. They look very scared. Jack nodded slowly. That worried him. In all his years of dealing with the Creathians, he had never seen them scared. Desperate, yes. Angry sometimes. But never scared. Let us go meet them, Jack said. Maybe we can finally find a solution that works for everyone. As they walked through the corridors of the ship, Jack felt a strange feeling in his chest. Something was wrong. Something was different about today. He had learned to trust his instincts over the years. They had saved his life more than once, but he pushed the feeling aside. The Creathians needed his help. People were depending on him. He could not let fear stop him from doing his job. The conference room doors opened before them. Inside, Ambassador Vector and his team were waiting. Jack had known Vector for 15 years. The alien's body was made of crystal that changed colors based on his emotions. Usually Vector glowed with warm, friendly colors. Blue meant he was happy. Green meant he was thinking. Yellow meant he was excited, but today Vector was gray. Dark, lifeless gray. Jack had never seen that color before. He did not know what it meant, but it made him feel cold inside. Admiral Miller, Vector said. His voice came through a translator that turned his clicking sounds into English. We come with heavy hearts. Jack felt the warning in his chest grow stronger. Those were not the words of someone coming to ask for help. Those were the words of someone coming to say goodbye. Jack gestured for everyone to sit down at the conference table. The Creathians moved slowly, their crystal bodies making soft sounds as they settled into the chairs. Ambassador Vector sat directly across from Jack. The gray color in his crystal form seemed to grow darker. What is wrong, my friend? Jack asked gently. We have worked together for many years. You can tell me anything. Vector's crystal body began to flicker. New colors appeared and disappeared quickly. Jack had studied Creathian emotions for years, but he could not read these patterns. They were too fast, too chaotic. It was like watching someone's heart break in real time. Admiral, I must tell you something terrible, Vector said. His voice through the translator sounded broken. The Syndicate came to us 3 weeks ago. They made us an offer. Jack knew about the Syndicate. They were a group of powerful criminals who controlled large parts of the galaxy. They sold weapons, drugs, and information to anyone who could pay. They had no loyalty to any government or species. They only cared about money and power. What kind of offer? Jack asked. He kept his voice calm, but inside he felt fear growing. They said they would save our world. Vector continued. They have the technology to clean our air and purify our water. They have the resources to rebuild our cities. They promised that our children would live, that our species would survive. That sounds like good news, Jack said carefully. But I sense there is more to this story. Vector's colors turned completely black. There is a price. They want proof of our commitment. They want us to prove that we will be loyal to them and not to the Council. They want us to prove that we are willing to do whatever it takes to save our people. Kate moved closer to the table. Her hand moved toward her weapon, but Jack raised his hand slightly to tell her to wait. What do they want you to do? Jack asked. His voice was barely above a whisper. They want your death, Admiral, Vector said. The words came out like poison. They see you as the last obstacle to human isolation. They believe that without you, humanity will turn away from the Council. They believe Earth will close its borders and focus only on its own interests. This will create a power vacuum in the galaxy, a vacuum that the Syndicate can fill. The conference room became completely silent. Kate's hand was now on her weapon. The other human crew members in the room looked ready to fight. But Jack sat perfectly still, his eyes locked on Vector. And you agreed, Jack said. It was not a question. Vector's entire body seemed to collapse inward. We had no choice. Our children are dying, Admiral. Every day more of them stop breathing. Our elders are fading away. Our doctors have no medicine left. Our scientists have no solutions. We were watching our entire species die slowly, painfully. The Syndicate offered us hope. The only hope we had. Jack felt a heavy sadness settle over him. He understood. He truly did. If he had children who were dying, if he had to watch his entire species fade away, what would he do? Would he be strong enough to refuse? Would anyone? I came here to ask for your forgiveness, Vector whispered. Not to grant it. I came to look you in the eyes one last time. You have been a true friend to my people. You fought for us when no one else would. You gave us chances when others said we deserved none. And this is how we repay you, sir. We need to leave now, Kate said urgently. This is obviously a trap, but before anyone could move, the lights went out. Emergency lights came on, bathing everything in red. Alarms began to scream through the corridors. Kate pulled her weapon and fired at the door, but it was already too late. Dark figures appeared from the shadows. They moved impossibly fast. They wore black armor that seemed to absorb light. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy. These were not Crethians. These were professional killers. Kate fired her weapon twice. She hit one attacker in the chest and he fell, but there were at least 10 more. They spread out around the room with military precision. Jack's security team tried to respond, but they were overwhelmed in seconds. "Get down," Kate shouted at Jack. She threw herself in front of him, still firing her weapon. She hit another attacker, but then she cried out in pain. An energy beam had struck her shoulder. She fell to the ground, her weapon sliding across the floor. Jack tried to reach her, but he felt a burning cold pierce his chest. He looked down and saw a dark hole in his uniform. Smoke rose from the wound. He could not feel any pain yet, but he knew what it meant. He fell to his knees, then collapsed onto his back. The red emergency lights made everything look like a nightmare. He could hear Kate calling his name. He could hear more weapons firing. He could hear the attackers moving through the ship, killing anyone who tried to stop them. Vectar appeared above him. The ambassador's crystal form was now completely black, darker than space itself. Tears were streaming down his face. Crethians could cry. Jack had not known that before. "I am sorry," Vectar whispered. "I'm so sorry, my friend. If there was any other way, any other choice, I would have taken it. Please believe me. Please forgive us." Jack tried to speak, but no words came out. His vision was getting dark around the edges. He could feel his life slipping away. He thought about Earth. He thought about all the years he had spent trying to build bridges between species. He thought about all the lives he had saved by choosing words over weapons. Had it all been for nothing? Had he wasted his life on a dream that could never come true? No, he refused to believe that. Even now, even dying, he refused to believe it. With his last bit of strength, Jack reached up and touched Vectar's crystal hand. The ambassador looked down at him in surprise. "Save your people," Jack whispered. The words came out as barely a breath. "Save them. That is what matters." Then Admiral Jack Miller, humanity's last peacekeeper, closed his eyes for the final time. The man who had spent 30 years preventing wars, who had saved countless lives through patience and understanding, who had believed until his last moment that peace was possible, died on the floor of his own ship, killed by the very people he had tried to save. Kate, wounded but alive, crawled across the floor to his body. She checked for a pulse even though she knew it was useless. She had seen enough death to recognize it. Jack was gone. The attackers left as quickly as they had come. They had completed their mission. They disappeared into the shadows, leaving behind dead bodies and a galaxy that would never be the same. Vectar stood over Jack's body, his crystal form still black as death itself. He knew what would come next. He knew what humanity would do, now that their last peaceful voice was silenced. The Syndicate had gotten what they wanted. The Crethians would get their survival, but the price they would all pay was only just beginning to reveal itself. The news spread through the galaxy faster than light itself. Admiral Jack Miller was dead. Humanity's voice of peace had been silenced. The man who had prevented a dozen wars, who had saved millions of lives through negotiation, who had been the bridge between Earth and the stars, was gone. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting within hours. Representatives from over 100 worlds gathered in the Grand Chamber on Unity Station. The room was designed to hold thousands. Today it was packed beyond capacity. Everyone wanted to know what would happen next. The council leader, an ancient being called Prime Selector Thane, stood at the center podium. His species lived for 300 years, and he had seen many crises in his time. But even he looked worried. "We gather today in mourning and in fear," Thane's voice echoed through the chamber. "Admiral Jack Miller was murdered during a diplomatic meeting. This is not just a crime against humanity. This is a crime against all of us. It is an attack on the very foundation of our council. If diplomats can be killed while trying to make peace, then peace itself is dead." Voices rose in agreement. Species that usually fought with each other now shared the same fear. If the humans abandoned the council, who would fill the gap? The Syndicate? The war clans? Chaos? "We must reach out to Earth," a delegate from the Harmony Collective said. "We must show them that we stand with them. We must bring justice for Admiral Miller's death." But when the Council tried to contact Earth, there was only silence. Every communication channel was closed. Every embassy was shut down. The human delegates who had served on the Council for decades were gone. They had left without warning, without explanation. Earth had gone dark. Kate Davis woke up in a medical facility on Earth. The last thing she remembered was crawling across the floor of the conference room, trying to reach Jack's body. Now she was home, but she felt more lost than ever. A doctor checked her injuries. The energy weapon had burned through her shoulder, but the doctors had fixed it. She would have scars, but she would survive, unlike Jack. Unlike the 12 other crew members who died in the attack. "Commander Davis, you have visitors," the doctor said. 3 people in military uniforms entered the room. Kate recognized them immediately. Admiral Ryan Foster, General Lisa Harper, and Director Paul Grant. These 3 people controlled Earth's entire military and intelligence operations. "Commander, how are you feeling?" Ryan asked. His face was hard, but his eyes showed genuine concern. "I am alive, sir," Kate replied. "Which is more than I can say for Admiral Miller and the others. We need your report," Lisa said. "Tell us everything that happened." Kate told them everything. She described Vectar's confession. She explained about the Syndicate's offer. She detailed the attack and Jack's final moments. When she finished, the room was silent. "The Syndicate orchestrated this," Paul said finally. He was the head of Earth intelligence. "They used the Krethians as tools. They knew exactly what they were doing, and they got what they wanted," Lisa added. "Earth is pulling back. We are leaving the Council. We are closing our borders. Humanity is turning inward, just like they predicted." Ryan walked to the window and looked out at the city below. "Jack was my friend. We joined the military together 40 years ago. We dreamed of exploring space and meeting new civilizations. We wanted to make the galaxy better, but Jack and I disagreed on how to do that. He thought we should trust others. I thought we should only trust ourselves." He turned to face Kate. "Jack spent 30 years proving that diplomacy works, that peace is possible, that we can coexist with alien species. And what did it get him? A knife in the back, a bullet in the chest, death at the hands of the very people he tried to save. Sir, with respect, that is what the Syndicate wants you to think," Kate said. She pushed herself up in the bed, ignoring the pain in her shoulder. "They want us angry. They want us isolated. They want us to give up on the Council so they can take control. Then they underestimated us," Ryan said quietly. "They think removing Jack makes us weak. They think without our Peacekeeper we will collapse. They are about to learn the truth about humanity." "What truth?" Kate asked. "That Jack Miller was not protecting the galaxy from us," Ryan said. "He was protecting them from what we could become. He was the leash that kept humanity's darker nature in check. Now that leash is gone." Ryan walked to a computer terminal and entered a series of codes. On screens across the room, star maps appeared. They showed the position of every human military asset in space. There were far more than Kate had ever imagined. "For 30 years we have been building in secret," Ryan explained. "We let the galaxy think we only had a few hundred ships. We let them think we were content with our place in the Council. We let them think Jack spoke for all of humanity. But the truth is we have been preparing for this day. The day when peace failed and we had to stand alone." "How many ships do we have?" Kate asked, staring at the screens in shock. 5,000 capital ships. 15,000 support vessels, more than enough to fight every major power in the galaxy at once. Paul answered. "My God," Kate whispered. "We could destroy the entire Syndicate in a week, we could," Ryan agreed. "And we will. But first we send a message. Activate all fleets, bring every ship online. I want the galaxy to see what humanity has been hiding." "Sir, what message are we sending?" Lisa asked. Ryan turned to face all of them. His face was cold, but his voice was colder. "Send this message to every government, every station, every ship in the galaxy. One sentence. You killed the wrong human." Across the solar system, massive warships began powering up. They had been hidden in asteroid fields, disguised as mining stations buried under the ice of distant moons. Now they revealed themselves. Orbital platforms that had seemed like peaceful research stations deployed weapons that could crack planets. Defense grids that had never been tested suddenly came online with enough power to hold off entire invasion fleets. The galaxy watched in growing horror as humanity's true military strength revealed itself. Earth was not a peaceful civilization protected by one man's diplomacy. Earth was a warrior culture that had chosen peace only because their greatest warrior had asked them to. Now that warrior was dead. Now the warriors of Earth were free to show the galaxy what they had always been capable of. Within hours, the Galactic Council received Earth's message. 4 words that made every species in the galaxy hold its breath in fear. You killed the wrong human. The Syndicate, watching from their hidden bases, realized their mistake too late. They had thought removing humanity's Peacekeeper would make Earth withdraw and become irrelevant. Instead, they had removed the only thing preventing humanity from becoming the galaxy's worst nightmare. The storm was coming, and there would be nowhere to hide. Captain Alex Turner stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution and watched the stars streak past. His ship was one of the newest and deadliest vessels in the human fleet. For 3 years, it had been hidden inside a hollowed asteroid in the Kuiper Belt. Now it was hunting. Alex was 35 years old. He had trained for war since he was 18. He had studied every major battle in human history. He had practiced combat scenarios until he could fight in his sleep. But he had never actually been in real combat. None of his generation had. Jack Miller's peace had lasted that long. Now everything had changed. "Captain, we have a target," Lieutenant Sam Brooks reported from the tactical station. "Syndicate command ship bearing 270, range 3 million kilometers. They are hailing us. What are they saying?" Alex asked. "They are demanding we power down our weapons and accept their authority. They say this sector belongs to the Syndicate. They are threatening to fire on us if we do not comply." Alex almost laughed. The Syndicate still did not understand what they had done. They still thought humans would back down when threatened. They still thought Earth was weak. "Open a channel," Alex ordered. The main screen showed the Syndicate commander. He was a Vexar, a species known for their cruelty. His face was covered in scars. His eyes showed no fear. "Human ship, you will stand down now," the commander growled. "This is your only warning." Alex stood and walked closer to the screen. "Admiral Jack Miller sends his regards." Then he nodded to Sam. "Fire." The Retribution's weapons spoke with terrible power. Railguns fired solid projectiles at nearly the speed of light. They punched through the Syndicate ship's shields like they were made of paper. Energy beams followed, cutting through armor plating and igniting fuel reserves. The Syndicate ship tried to fight back, but it was too slow. Too old, too unprepared. Within 30 seconds, it was a burning wreck. Within a minute, it was debris floating in space. "Target destroyed," Sam reported. No survivors. Alex felt nothing. No guilt, no satisfaction. Just cold efficiency. This was what he had been trained for. This was what humanity had become. "Next target," he ordered. The same scene played out across a dozen star systems. Human warships appeared without warning. They struck Syndicate bases, supply depots, weapons factories, and command centers. They showed no mercy because none had been shown to Jack Miller. They asked for no surrender because the Syndicate had not given Jack a chance to surrender. This was not war. This was extermination. The galaxy watched in horror. Military analysts from every major civilization studied the human attacks. They came to terrifying conclusions. Human ships were faster than anything else in space. Human weapons were more powerful. Human tactics were ruthlessly efficient. Humans did not waste time with threats or warnings. They simply destroyed their enemies and moved on to the next target. Worse, humans fought with a coordination that seemed impossible. Every ship knew exactly where to be and when to strike. They moved like a single organism with 5,000 bodies. No other species had ever achieved such perfect unity in battle. The secret was simple. Humans had spent 30 years preparing for this war. They had studied every enemy. They had planned every battle. They had trained every soldier. While Jack Miller kept the peace, the rest of humanity had been sharpening their knives. Within 1 week, the Syndicate's military power was broken. Their fleets were destroyed. Their bases were captured or burned. Their leaders were dead or in hiding. An organization that had terrorized the galaxy for 200 years was reduced to scattered bands of pirates running for their lives. The Galactic Council called another emergency meeting. This time, fear was the dominant emotion. If humans could destroy the Syndicate so easily, what could they do to everyone else? Prime Selector Thane stood before the assembled delegates. His ancient face showed exhaustion. "We must make contact with Earth. We must negotiate." We must find a way to stop this before it spreads. But Earth still refused to answer. The silence from humanity was more frightening than any threat. Then a message arrived. It was broadcast to every government, every news station, every communication device in the galaxy. It came from Admiral Ryan Foster, to all civilizations in the galaxy. This is Admiral Ryan Foster of the United Earth Systems. 1 week ago, Admiral Jack Miller was murdered during a diplomatic meeting. He was killed by assassins hired by the Syndicate and enabled by those he tried to help. Admiral Miller believed in peace. He believed in cooperation. He believed that different species could work together for a better future. Ryan paused. The image showed his face clearly. He looked older than he had a week ago. His eyes were hard. We have destroyed the Syndicate because they murdered our Peacekeeper. But we are not done. The Krethian government betrayed Admiral Miller's trust. They allowed assassins onto his ship. They watched as he was murdered. For this crime they must answer. The galaxy held its breath. Was Earth about to destroy the Krethians? Would humanity commit genocide against an entire species? The Krethian homeworld is dying, Ryan continued. Their people are desperate. The Syndicate exploited that desperation. We understand this. Admiral Miller would have understood this. But understanding does not mean forgiveness. Understanding does not erase what was done. So here is our judgment. Earth will save the Krethian homeworld. We will provide the technology and resources to restore their planet. We will give them a chance to survive. But in return, the Krethian people will serve humanity. They will work for us. They will help us build something new. Something better than the council that failed to protect one of its own. Ryan leaned forward, his face filling the screen. To the rest of the galaxy, hear this. Earth is withdrawing from the Galactic Council. We no longer trust an organization that cannot protect its own diplomats. Instead, we are forming a new alliance, the Terran Alliance. Any civilization that wishes to join us is welcome. Any civilization that opposes us will be destroyed. Choose carefully, the message ended. The galaxy was silent. On the Krethian homeworld, Ambassador Vectar watched the message with his government officials. Their crystal bodies had lost all color. They had expected death. Instead, they were being given life, but at a price. They would survive, but they would be servants. It was more mercy than they deserved. It was more than any other species would have shown them. And they knew it. Vectar stood before his people's parliament. We have two choices. Accept Earth's offer and live as servants, or refuse and watch our species die. I vote that we accept. I vote that we spend the rest of our existence trying to earn the forgiveness we do not deserve. The vote was unanimous. The Krethians would accept. They would become the first members of the Terran Alliance. They would work to redeem themselves, and humanity would show the galaxy something that no one expected. Not just strength, but mercy. Not just the power to destroy, but the wisdom to rebuild. Jack Miller's dream was not dead. It had simply evolved. It had become something harder and more practical, but still guided by the belief that different species could work together. The galaxy would learn to respect humanity. But first, it would learn to fear them. 3 months after Jack Miller's death, Kate Davis stood on the bridge of the UES Guardian. The ship was new, built specifically for diplomatic missions but armed well enough to defend itself. It was a symbol of what humanity had become. Ready to talk but prepared to fight. Kate had been promoted to admiral. She did not want the position. She did not feel worthy of it. But Ryan Foster had insisted. Jack would have wanted you to carry on his work. Ryan had told her, but in your own way. Not as a peacekeeper, but as a guardian. Show them that humanity can still talk, but make sure they remember we can still fight. Now Kate was traveling to the Krethian homeworld. It would be her first mission as admiral. Her first chance to prove that Jack's legacy was not completely lost. The planet appeared on the main screen. It looked terrible. The atmosphere was brown with pollution. The oceans were dark with contamination. Even from space, you could see that this world was dying, but Earth's engineers were already working. Massive machines orbited the planet, filtering the atmosphere. Ships pumped purified water into the oceans. Construction teams built new power plants and recycling centers. Within months, the planet would be livable again. Within years, it would be beautiful. Open a channel to the surface, Kate ordered. Ambassador Vectar appeared on the screen. He looked different than the last time Kate had seen him. His crystal body was no longer black. It was a pale blue, the color of hope mixed with sadness. His surface was cracked and scarred. as if he had been physically broken and then put back together. "Admiral Davis," Vectar said quietly. "You have come, I have come," Kate replied. She kept her voice neutral, professional. She would not show weakness, but she would not show cruelty either. "We need to discuss the terms of the Krethian membership in the Terran Alliance." Vectar bowed his head. "We accept any terms you offer. We have no right to negotiate. We murdered your admiral. We betrayed your trust. We deserve nothing but death. That you offer us life is more mercy than we can comprehend." Kate felt anger rise in her chest, but she pushed it down. Jack would not want revenge. He would want redemption. "Stop, Ambassador. We are not going to spend the next 100 years wallowing in guilt. Yes, you made a terrible choice. Yes, Admiral Miller died because of that choice. But he would not want your people to suffer forever." She paused, choosing her words carefully. "The Syndicate manipulated you. They used your desperation as a weapon. That does not excuse what you did, but it explains it. So here is what will happen. Earth will save your planet. We will give your people a future. But in return, you will work for us. Your scientists will help develop new technologies. Your engineers will help build new ships. Your diplomats will help us create the Terran Alliance, and if we refuse," Vectar asked, though they both knew he would not, "then we leave." Kate said simply, "Your planet dies. Your people die. Not because we kill you, but because you choose pride over survival. Admiral Miller would have helped you regardless. I am not him. I cannot be him. But I can still offer you a chance to make things right." Vectar's crystal form flickered with new colors. Blues and greens mixed together. "Relief and gratitude, we accept. We accept with our whole hearts. We will spend the rest of our existence trying to prove ourselves worthy of this mercy." "Good," Kate said. "Then let us begin. I am sending down teams to coordinate the restoration efforts. You will provide them with whatever they need. Also, I need your best scientists to report to our research facilities. We are developing new defensive technologies, and your people have unique skills that will be valuable." Over the next weeks, Kate worked closely with the Krethian government. She found that they were not evil. They were not monsters. They were just people who had been put in an impossible situation and made a terrible choice. She still hated what they had done. She still missed Jack every day. But she could also see their genuine remorse. She could see their desperate desire to make amends. One evening, Vectar asked to meet with her privately. They sat in a garden that human engineers had restored. Plants were growing again. Water flowed in clean streams. Children played nearby, their crystalline laughter filling the air. "Admiral, may I ask you something personal?" Vectar said. "You may ask."
Kate replied, "Do you hate us?"
"Do you hate me?" Kate was quiet for a long moment. She watched the children play. "Yes, I hate what you did. I hate that Admiral Miller is dead. I hate that he died believing in people who betrayed him. But do I hate you personally? No, I understand why you made the choice you made. I do not know if I would have been stronger in your position." Vectar's color shifted to deep blue. Sadness. "He would have forgiven us." Admiral Miller. If he had survived, he would have forgiven us immediately. He would have understood. He would have helped us anyway. Yes, Kate agreed. That was who he was. That was why he was so special. And that was why his death hurt so much. The galaxy lost its best man, but not its best hope. Vectar said softly, "You are here. You are doing what he would have done. Perhaps in a harder way, a more careful way, but still guided by his principles. You are showing mercy when you could show cruelty. You are building bridges when you could build walls. Admiral Miller's dream is not dead. It lives through you." Kate felt tears in her eyes, but she blinked them away. "I am not Jack Miller. I never will be. But maybe I can be Kate Davis. Maybe that is enough. It is enough." Vectar assured her. "It is more than enough." News of the Krethian membership in the Terran Alliance spread quickly. Other civilizations watched carefully. They saw that humans could be merciful. They saw that humans remembered their debts but also understood context. They saw that the Terran Alliance was different from the Syndicate. Within weeks, 3 more civilizations applied for membership. Within months, 10 more. They came seeking protection from pirates. They came seeking trade opportunities. They came seeking a place in the new order that was forming. The Galactic Council still existed, but its power was fading. More and more species were choosing the Terran Alliance instead. The Alliance offered something the Council could not. Real protection, real consequences for crimes, real justice. Ryan Foster stood in the command center on Earth watching reports flow in from across the galaxy. Lisa Harper stood beside him. "It is working," Lisa said. "The Alliance is growing faster than we projected. At this rate, we will have more members than the Council within a year." "Jack would be proud," Ryan said quietly. "And angry. Proud that we are building something new. Angry that it took his death to make it happen." "Do you think we did the right thing?" Lisa asked. "Destroying the Syndicate so completely. Forcing the Krethians to serve us?" Ryan turned to look at her. "I think we did the only thing we could. Jack kept the peace by being gentle, by always offering another chance, by believing in the best of everyone. That was beautiful, but it was not sustainable. The galaxy needed to learn that there are consequences for betrayal, that humans cannot be pushed around. But we also needed to show that we are not monsters, that we can still be merciful when mercy is earned. So we are Jack Miller with a bigger stick," Lisa said. Ryan smiled slightly. "We are Jack Miller's children, learning to walk without him. We will make mistakes. We will be too hard sometimes and too soft other times, but we are trying. That is what matters. We are trying to build something better." A new message appeared on the screens. It was from Kate. "The Krethian integration is complete. Moving to next diplomatic mission. The Harmony Collective wants to discuss membership terms." Ryan felt pride swell in his chest. Kate was doing well. She was finding her own way. She was becoming what humanity needed. Not a copy of Jack Miller, but something new, something that honored his memory while adapting to a new reality. The galaxy was changing. The old order was dying. A new one was being born. And at its heart was a simple truth that Jack Miller had always known. Different species could work together. They could build something greater than any one of them alone. But that cooperation had to be based on mutual respect, real consequences, and the understanding that mercy was not weakness. Humanity had learned this lesson the hard way. Now they would teach it to the rest of the galaxy. 6 months had passed since Jack Miller's death. The galaxy barely recognized itself. The Terran Alliance now had 30 member civilizations. Species that had once been enemies were now working together under human leadership. The old Galactic Council still existed, but it had become largely irrelevant. Most of its former members had either joined the Alliance or were considering it. Kate Davis traveled from world to world, negotiating treaties and solving disputes. She had developed her own style of diplomacy. She listened carefully. She offered fair deals. But she also made it clear that betrayal would not be tolerated. The galaxy learned that humans could be trusted, but only if you trusted them in return. Some species called the Terran Alliance an empire. Others called it protection. Most simply called it the new reality. Humanity had become the dominant power in the galaxy, and they had achieved it through a combination of overwhelming military strength and surprising fairness. On the moon of Earth, a memorial had been built. It was a simple structure made of black stone, carved with names. Every human who had died serving the cause of galactic peace was remembered here. Thousands of names, thousands of lives given in hope of a better future. At the center of the memorial was one name larger than all the others, Jack Miller. Below his name was a single sentence. "He died believing we could be better. We lived to prove him right." Kate stood before the memorial on a cold morning. Earth's sun was rising, casting long shadows across the lunar surface. She came here often when she was home. It helped her remember why she did this work, why she pushed herself so hard, why she refused to give up even when things seemed impossible. Ryan Foster found her there. He walked slowly across the gray dust, his boots leaving prints that would last for centuries. He stood beside her in silence for a long moment. "Do you think he would approve?" Kate asked quietly. "Of what we have built?" Ryan considered the question carefully. "I think he would be disappointed that it took his death to make it happen. I think he would be sad that we had to show our strength before others would respect us. But yes, I think he would approve. We are doing what he always wanted. We are bringing different species together. We are building something better than what came before. We are just doing it in a harder, more realistic way. The galaxy holds its breath," Kate said. "Everyone is waiting to see what humanity will do next. Will we become conquerors? Will we become tyrants? Will we abuse our power? Then we will have to show them." Ryan replied, "We will have to prove that we can be strong without being cruel, that we can be powerful without being oppressive. that we learned from Jack's example even as we adapted it to our own needs. A message appeared on Kate's communication device. She read it and felt a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. The remnants of the syndicate have surrendered unconditionally. They are asking for mercy. What will we do with them? Ryan asked. The same thing we did with the Crethians. Kate said, we will give them a chance to redeem themselves. We will give them work to do. We will give them a purpose beyond crime. And if they betray us again, then we will destroy them. But we will give them one chance. Jack would want that, Ryan nodded. He approved. Send the message. Tell them they can join the Alliance. Tell them they will be watched closely. Tell them that this is their only chance at redemption. Kate composed the message and sent it. Across the galaxy, former syndicate members would receive it and make their choice. Most would accept. Some would refuse and face the consequences. But at least they had a choice. That was progress. 3 more civilizations sent messages requesting Alliance membership. A border dispute was resolved peacefully when both sides agreed to human mediation. A pirate group was destroyed by a combined fleet of humans and Crethians working together. Every day brought new challenges but also new successes. The galaxy was learning. Species that had fought for centuries were finding ways to cooperate. Problems that had seemed impossible were being solved. Trade flourished. Technology advanced. Peace, while not perfect, was more stable than it had been in generations. And at the center of it all was humanity. Not as conquerors, but as organizers. Not as tyrants, but as protectors. They enforced the rules strictly, but they also showed mercy when it was earned. They remembered their debts and punished their enemies, but they also understood context and offered redemption. Ambassador Vector visited the Lunar Memorial. He had asked permission to come, and Kate had granted it. She met him there at sunset, watching as Earth's sun painted the sky in brilliant colors. I wanted to see this place, Vector said. I wanted to see where you honor your dead. We have a similar place on our world now. We remember the mistakes we made. We teach our children about Admiral Miller. We tell them that we must never betray trust again. That is good, Kate said. Memory is important. It keeps us from repeating our mistakes. Vector approached the memorial and placed his crystal hand on Jack's name. Admiral Miller, I am sorry. I will be sorry for the rest of my life. But I promise you this. Your death was not meaningless. It created something beautiful. It forced the galaxy to change. It made us all better. Kate felt tears run down her face, but she did not wipe them away. Jack would have liked that. He would have liked knowing that his death meant something, that it changed things for the better. Come on, Kate said gently. We have work to do. The Harmony Collective is having problems with their neighbors. They need someone to mediate, someone who understands both strength and mercy. Vector bowed. I will send our best diplomats to help. We owe you everything, Admiral Davis. We will never stop trying to repay that debt. You repay it every day, Kate said, by being better, by helping others, by proving that mistakes can be learned from. That is all Jack ever wanted. For people to be better. As they left the memorial, Kate looked back one last time. The inscription caught the last light of sunset. He died believing we could be better. We lived to prove him right. It was true. The galaxy was better. Not perfect, still full of problems and conflicts and mistakes, but better. And that was worth everything. Years would pass. The Terran Alliance would grow stronger. New challenges would arise. New threats would emerge. But humanity would face them all with the lessons Jack Miller had taught them. Be strong but be fair. Be powerful but be merciful. Be willing to fight but always prefer to talk. The aliens had killed humanity's last Peacekeeper. They thought it would make Earth weak. They thought it would make humans withdraw and become irrelevant. Instead, it had awakened something in humanity. Not just their capacity for war, but their capacity for leadership. Not just their strength, but their wisdom. They had learned from Jack Miller's life, and they had learned from his death. They had learned that peace required both the will to fight and the wisdom to forgive. That strength without mercy was tyranny, but mercy without strength was weakness. That the galaxy needed someone who could do both, who could protect the innocent while punishing the guilty, who could build bridges while maintaining boundaries. And so humanity became that someone. They became the guardians of a new order, an order built on Jack Miller's dream, but adapted to the harsh realities of the galaxy. An order that honored his memory by continuing his work, even if the methods had changed. The galaxy held its breath after Jack's death. It waited to see what humanity would become. Monster or savior, conqueror or protector. In the end, humanity became something better than either. They became what Jack Miller had always believed they could be. They became greater than their worst impulses and true to their best values. They became leaders not through cruelty but through competence, not through fear but through respect. And the galaxy, which had once held its breath in fear, learned to breathe easier. Because someone was finally in charge who understood both the necessity of strength and the importance of mercy. Someone who could wage war if needed but preferred peace. Someone who honored the legacy of Jack Miller by being what he had always hoped humanity would become. The last Peacekeeper was dead, but his dream lived on, stronger, wiser, more practical, but still guided by the same belief that had driven Jack Miller for 30 years, that different species could work together. That peace was possible, that the galaxy could be better, and slowly, painfully, beautifully, it was becoming true.